design is this whole new community of designers, both young and old, that that know that while the resources may not be there to support their efforts, they as a community have come together to support them in various ways. For example, I have a public relations firm here working with a lot of designers. We do 30% pro bono. Now, if I was back in New York, I dare say that that wouldn't be part of my business model, but there's something about this environment that brings out the best in individuals, I believe, particularly when it comes to convergence of arts and design.
Rhode Island School of Design was founded as a technical college, actually, in order to feed the industry that was here with good design. So really it started as a place where people would go to learn textile design, and Gorham Silver was here, which was a huge manufacturing company that did silver, and they were literally, these women came together after going to the Philadelphia Expo and said, we need a school to feed our industry. And like 5 or 6 women actually founded Rhode Island School of Design based on design standards, not on, and learning the fine arts to inform design, but it was basically set up as a design center. We were actually the epicenter of manufacturing, not in New England, but in the entire country. There was more manufacturing going on in Providence and in Rhode Island than New Jersey or New York or Lowell, Massachusetts, where these big these big sort of manufacturing centers were. And so I think that what we've been doing over the last 10 years in particular is sort of reconnecting with the roots of the strength of what the economic sort of story was of the state when it was most successful. And
what a lot of other cities do, it if you help me, there's this in it for you. And I think sometimes what's in it for me is the last thing that's discussed, and that's okay. We shouldn't be fearful of that, because good ideas need to be moved forward. And so again, having this community which is growing every day, and I think the student population here, the fact that we have universities and colleges like RISD and like Brown University, is constantly, it's almost like a wind sweeping through our environment, where they're constantly making people that are a little bit older, like myself, than them, do what I would consider the right thing. Better World by Design conference, and it's held both in the Brown and RISD campuses. And they brought in global speakers who actually had forgone their typical speaking fees just to come here and to be around the student audience and talk about how they can become social changers. And so can you actually measure the value of what the conferences, having conferences like that here are having? I'm not sure you can. It might be more intrinsic in value, but at the same time I think that it's contributing to the fabric of the community that we're all trying to build.
I'm thinking about some of the work we've been doing sort of from the government side of things, or the establishment side of things. I think there's been a lot of work done by some really progressive thinkers in the city in terms of just bringing these ideas to the table, but it's a bottom-up, top-down, holistic strategy, and they're getting those things. But it's because there's an effort that's actually coming from the top to say, look, we've got all these wonderful people and they're doing all these things and we're not connecting to them. Let's figure out how to change our business model of dues paying members to this very expensive thing to get everyone together, kind of cross-fertilizing. And there's a lot of power in that when you're talking about older folks who have been here for a long time doing really good work but aren't necessarily understanding that it's not just about infrastructure anymore, it's about these social networks.
Providence is probably the best example I've ever seen, any place I've ever lived, of the interconnected society. That if you have a city official like Lynn at the table, an industrial designer, and public relations person, an artist, a faculty member, you might say on the surface there's really no connection between any of these individuals. But I think what we're proving is there's absolutely a connection between everybody that lives here and that wants to create positive change.
This is not designed from a very high, this is design that is good for the city, is good for the people who live here, but it's not about specialized design that's only accessible to a certain few. it's about equity. It's about bringing our young people into the process and making sure that the best of what we have is offered to our young people. And that's a really powerful thing. I mean, equity and access coming involved with the design-based stuff is just amazing, I think. I think that the great thing about what's happened here is that the community itself poses solutions to responses to issues. And so much of our artist housing that we've actually developed over the years here, I go around to other cities and they say, well, the city did it. The city got a nonprofit to come in and took the lead and made it happen, and now the city owns it or the nonprofit owns it, but they're usually from outside. Here, that's not what happened. Here we had a stressful situation, and artists responded and went and decided to have a vision, and this has happened over and over and over again. We have multiple projects for Arts Live workspace that are developed by artists and owned by artists.
Get 10 people in a room and ask them what their definition of design is. You might get 10 different definitions, but my definition is it's a problem-solving process. And so if you define it that way, and just take what Lynn just said, basically design has really infiltrated in a positive way itself into a lot of different ways the way people think here. Whether it be a government official who may never consider themselves a designer, but they are somewhat forced to think like a designer would to try to solve a problem, and I think that's a really healthy byproduct of the environment that's here.
Yeah.
What's unique about this place is that there's a shared belief by a group of people who haven't been asked to be leaders necessarily. No one's given them an invitation to be a member of a particular club, if you will, but they've stepped forward on their own accord and have furthered the mentoring of a next generation of leaders. So what's really exciting to me to watch is not only all the cool projects that are going on here right now, where you have a convergence between the design and arts community, but at the same time you see people that are 40 years old bringing along people that are 20 years old. And as those people get brought along, you're creating the next generation of leaders.
When we think about the vision of the new American city, I mean, I think we're thinking about a localized economy that is also global. That the localized economy is strong and vibrant and diverse, and there's intersections all over the place, and it's really working, and it's supported, and it's nurtured, and it's understood, and then there's a connection to the global society, and that there's a global economy coming out of those places. And it may not be a product, it may just be ideas being shared or understood. And I think that's the kind of city that we're actually building here. We've gone from a city that really didn't have a very good self-image and sort of was down on itself to one that feels incredibly positive, and the vision of the new American city, I think we all believe that we can make that happen here.